there's been quite a bunch of talk, and we had a couple of journalists on last week who had talked about the right to work legislation, and they were like, oh, that won't. And all of a sudden it came up from Republican Senator Dave Thompson this week. So, Senator Robling, what are your thoughts on that?
Do you see the kind of Wisconsin-style battle coming home to Minnesota here in this?
Well, if it became a constitutional amendment, I would expect that there would be a big campaign. I really would. And it would be heated, I'm sure. The unions, even at the national level, would probably pour a lot of resources into the campaign here, as they did in Ohio. And it did make a difference there.
But is this what we're going to start seeing? I mean, because this isn't normal to have all these constitutional amendments, or it hasn't. We haven't seen a lot of that. Is that the way government's going to start going?
Well, I think there's
and if
a
so,
lot
why
of,
even elect representatives?
well, no, but there's a lot of
I'm sure there's some people out there right now going, yeah.
A pent-up frustration, you know, from people who have not had control for a long time. And
but you got control
we
now.
have control, except that we also have the governor as a gatekeeper. And, for example, voter ID. You know, the photo ID
Well, wait a minute,
issue.
Senator Robling. If he's the gatekeeper, but you guys are going to treat him like a speed bump, then that's not a fair characterization either. Go ahead, finish your
No,
point.
I'm just saying, on voter ID, we sent a bill to him and he vetoed it.
Right.
And so now there is discussion about going around and putting it on the ballot and letting the people decide. And I guess I don't see a problem with that. If the voters would want to put that in, then they get to have their say if we put it on. Right to work, I don't know. There certainly is a lot of interest in our caucus in that issue and in the business community. I don't know if it will end up on the ballot. You know, we certainly will have to weigh what the implications for the campaign would be. And so we're looking at them, we're studying them. I think Senator Limmer's heading up a kind of a subcommittee, just working with people trying to determine which ones might be good prospects.
Follow up to that?
Well, I mean, I think we shouldn't do any of them. We should do what the people of Minnesota want us to do, which is focus on getting people back to work. A number of jobs proposals have been put out by the DFL.
Boy, you're laser focused on message tonight.
That's because what the people really is what Minnesotans are looking for. I bet if you walk down to the corner here tonight and ask every person that passed by about what's the most important thing that we should be working on at the Capitol, it would be jobs, it would be the economy. It would not be, I bet, $10 that no one would say, my number one thing we need to do is make sure people have an ID to go vote.
He stayed away from $10,000.
So I did. I
he
was
didn't
very
go
careful.
there. He's been watching the debates.
But the bottom line is, I mean, I think the fact that it's very unconstitutional, this philosophy that's being pursued by the Republicans, which is we can't get Governor Dayton, who was duly elected by the people, to sign a bill, so we're going to go around him in a process, and it's not just putting up for the people to decide, it's putting it in the Constitution. It's not like just a referendum so it becomes statute.
You're sort of
it's putting it in the Constitution. And voter ID doesn't belong in the Constitution. It's a bad idea anyway, but we don't need to get into that. The right to work, the one thing that's important, I think, for people to know about right to work, and it fits in with the larger conversation we need to have about the middle class economy, is that union wages drop about $5,000 when a right to work, so-called right to work law comes in. Non-union wages drop $5,000 as well. It's bad for middle-class families when we should be upping and building up their ability to put money in their pockets. Because for business, what's the most important thing for business? It's consumers with money in their pocket. And we're going the exact opposite way.
Well, let me follow up on that. There's already a constitutional amendment on the ballot for the marriage amendment. But it's illegal already, isn't it? So basically, you guys say, or the Democrats say, well, this is a problem, or a solution looking for a problem, much the way I sort of classified voter ID. To your point, though, is this just going to be another way around? I mean, the legislative process, or is this really, in your minds, more engaging the people? I just don't. I guess people don't understand. They're like, you guys can't get along. You make each other mad. Then when you can't get along, you come up with ways to bend the rules or change the rules so that you get what you want.
Well, we already have a lawsuit filed against our state law that describes marriages between a man and a woman. And the concern is that the courts may overturn that, and then the legislature has no say in it, and the people have no say in it. The judges would make that decision. And so that is a concern. That is why that issue is being placed on the ballot. And I think it's a legitimate concern. It is, you're right, in current state law, we define marriage as between only a man and a woman. And you know, whether or not that's going to stay that way, we're going to let the people decide. We've made our decision as legislators. That is something I voted on at one time, but now I'm willing to let the people decide.
People are going to get tired of deciding, it sounds like.